since you all must have singing and won't be said nay. I cannot refuse when you beg and you pray. I will sing you a song, as the poets might say, of King George's old soldiers who ne'er ran away. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. At Lexington we met with the rebels one day. We got ourselves up in our finest array. Our heads bid us stand and our hearts bid us stay, but our legs were strong-minded and took us away. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. They fought so unfairly from back of the trees. If they'd only fought open, we'd have beat 'em with ease. They can fight one another that way if they please, but we don't have to stand for such tactics as these. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. We marched into Princeton with fifes and with drums, with muskets and cannons, with swords and with bombs. This great expedition cost infinite sums, but some underpaid doodles, they cut us to crumbs. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. Our general staff planned the Yankees' defeat. With stealth, we'd surprise them the next time we'd meet. We marched, not expecting that we might be beat, so the general's plan of surprise was complete. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. 'Tis true that we turned, but that shouldn't disgrace us. We did it to prove that the foe couldn't face us, and they've nothing to boast. It's a very plain case. Though we lost in the fight, we came first in the race. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. We're the old soldiers of the king and the king's own regulars. Zulaika was fair to see, a young Persian maiden was she. She lived in Baghdad, where all men are bad, but none were so bad as she. Her husband was very old, with millions in silver and gold. He kept her locked in, away from all sin, for Persians are very bold. But Zulaika, she wore a turban, which came from the fields of Iran. When no one could see, she kept a small key, which she threw out again and again. The first time she threw the key out, it fell by the old water spout. She sighed and she cried, and the door opened wide, and in walked her lover, Mahout. The next time she threw out the key, it fell by the old banyan tree. She sighed and she cried, and the door opened wide, and in walked her lover, Ali. She threw out the key once again, expecting her lover, Suleiman. She sighed and she cried, and the door opened wide, and in walked the whole caravan. The leader, he bowed his head low, and waited her wishes to know. Will the most of you stay? Zulaika did say, but the children and camels must go. Zulaika was fair to see, a young Persian maiden was she. She lived in Baghdad, where all men are bad, but none were so bad as she, as she. Way back in the 40s, when I was young and green, each weekday seemed so endless, my impatience so keen. And then, oh boy, came Saturday, I rushed to see the matinee, the cowboys and cops, and make my day those monsters on the screen. Yes, they were really best of all, none other could compare, from frankly stumbling nightmare to the guy who grew wolf hair. But the one who stole my heart and soul, what a role to end all roles, the guy in rags from top to toe, the answer to my prayer. Oh, Caries, Caries, that meander and molder and pile of bandages puts me in a whirl. Caries, oh, Caries, I sure hanker to be his princess and Anka, I wanna be his girl. A dime to get a ticket, ah yes, those were the days. Then stop to get some popcorn with butter lightly glazed. And then I grabbed myself a seat right down front where the viewing's neat. A newsreel and chapters and stomp your feet, and then a cheer was raised. I thought the other kids were weird, they came there to be scared. They hid their eyes and shivered, while I just grinned and stared. The werewolf's fur sure made me laugh, and Frankie's monster was silly about half. But when the mummy wrote epitaphs, ah, joy both wild and rare. Oh, Caries, Caries, that meandering, moldering pile of bandages puts me in a whirl. Caries, oh, Caries, I sure hanker to be his princess and Anka, I wanna be his girl. A hunt like him was thrilling, just what I had hoped for. And back in those days producers omitted all the gore. They gave us chills with mood and gloom, and monsters demand an elbow room, and one who walked right out of a tomb. Films ain't like that no more. So now I turn on TV, load up my VCR, and there upon that smaller screen are memories from afar. My favorite monster I can see, a regular ton-of-leaf jamboree, while Cara stares out on a spree. Hey, big boy, here I are. Oh, Caries, Caries, that meandering, moldering pile of bandages puts me in a whirl. Caries, oh, Caries, I sure hanker to be his princess and Anka, I wanna be his girl. I wanna be his girl. One time in Alexandria, wicked Alexandria, where nights were wild with revelry and life was but a game, there lived so the reportesan, adventurous and courtesan, the pride of Alexandria, and Thais was her name. Nearby in peace and piety, avoiding all society, there dwelt a band of holy men who'd built a refuge there. And in that desert solitude, they spurned all earthly folly to devote their lives to holy works, to fasting and to prayer. Now one monk whom I solely mention of this group of holy men was known as Athanael. He was famous near and far, at fasting bouts thoughts or prayer with him, no other could compare with him. At grand and lofty praying, he could do the course in par. One day while sleeping heavily, from wrestling with the devil, he had gone to bed exhausted while the sun was shining still. He had a vision Freudian, and though he was annoyed, he analyzed it in the well-known styles of Doctors Jung and Brill. He dreamed of Alexandria, wicked Alexandria. A crowd of men were cheering in a manner rather rude at Thais, who was dancing there, and Athenael glancing there, observed her do the shimmy in what artists call the nude. Said he, this thought fantastical disturbs my thoughts monastical. Some unsuppressed desire, I fear, has found my monkish cell. I blushed up to the head of me to view that girl's anatomy. I'll go to Alexandria and save her soul from hell. So, pausing not to wonder where he put his summer underwear, he quickly packed his evening clothes, a toothbrush and a vest. To guard against exposure, he threw in some woolen hosiery, and bidding all the boys goodbye, he started on his quest. The monk, though warned and fortified, was deeply shocked and mortified to find on his arrival wild debauchery in sway. While some lay in a stupor sent by booze of more than 2%, the others were behaving in a most immoral way. Said he to Thais, pardon me, although this job is hard on me, I got to put you wise to what I come down here to tell. What's all this sousing getting you? Cut out this pie-eyed retinue. Let's hit the trail together, kid. I'll save your soul from hell. Although this bold admonishment caused Thais some astonishment, she coyly answered, "See, you said a heaping mouthful, beau. This Berks of Frost, I'm telling you, the brand of hooch they're selling you ain't like the stuff we used to get, so let's pack up and go. North from Alexandria, wicked Alexandria, across the desert sands they go beneath the blazing sun. Till Thais, parched and sweltering, finds refuge in the sheltering seclusion of a convent and the habit of a nun. But now the monk is terrified to find his fears are verified. His holy vows of chastity have cracked beneath the strain. Like one who has a dragon, he cries out in grief and agony, I'd sell my soul to see her dance the shimmy once again. Alas, his pleadings clamorous, though passionate and amorous, have come too late. The courtesan has danced her final dance. Says he, now that's a joke on me, for that there dame to croak on me. I hadn't oughter passed her up the time I had the chance. A fish-like thing appeared among the annelids one day. It hadn't any parapods nor CD to display. It hadn't any eyes or jaws or ventral nervous cord, but it had a lot of gill slits and it had a notochord. It's a long way from Amphioxis, it's a long way to us. It's a long way from Amphioxis to the meanest human cuss. Goodbye to fins and gill slits, welcome lungs and hair. It's a long, long way from Amphioxis, but we all came from there. wasn't much to look at, and it scarce knew how to swim, and Nereus was very sure it hadn't come from him. The mollusks wouldn't own it, the arthropods got sore, so the poor thing had to burrow in the sand along the shore. It's a long way from Amphioxis, it's a long way to us. It's a long way from Amphioxis to the meanest human cuss. Goodbye to fins and gill slits, welcome lungs and hair. It's a long, long way from Amphioxis, but we all came from there. He burrowed in the sand before a crab could nip his tail. He said gill slits and myatomes are all to no avail. I've grown some metaplural folds and sport an oral hood, but all these fine new characters don't do me any good. It's a long way from Amphioxis, it's a long way to us. It's a long way from Amphioxis to the meanest human cuss. Goodbye to fins and gill slits, welcome lungs and hair. It's a long, long way from Amphioxis, but we all came from there. He soaked the Walden in the sand without a bit of pep. Then he stiffened up his notochord and said, I'll beat 'em yet. Let 'em laugh and show their ignorance, I don't mind their jeers. Just wait until they see me in 100 million years. It's a long way from Amphioxis, it's a long way to us. It's a long way from Amphioxis to the meanest human cuss. Goodbye to fins and gill slits, welcome lungs and hair. It's a long, long way from Amphioxis, but we all came from there. My notochord shall change into a chain of vertebrae. As fins my metaplural fold shall agitate the sea. My tiny dorsal nervous cord shall be a mighty brain, and the vertebrate shall dominate the animal domain. It's a long way from Amphioxis, it's a long way to us. It's a long way from Amphioxis to the meanest human cuss. Goodbye to fins and gill slits, welcome lungs and hair. It's a long, long way from Amphioxis, but we all came from there. A mighty ship is the Gundrimar, proudly sailing, proudly sailing. O'er winter waves she adventures far, northward hailing, northward hailing. Through crashing storm and the tempest's roar, she's plunging on to find a distant shore. Ever sailing, proudly sailing. Oh, dark the night and wild the storm, waters churning, waters churning. Still brave the ship on the tossing foam, danger spurning, danger spurning. A crash of rock on a shattered prow, and down beneath the waves a ship shall bow. Unreturning, unreturning. A ghostly ship is the Gundrimar, ever sailing, ever sailing. O'er winter skies she adventures far, northward hailing, northward hailing. No shadow falls on on the silver night, as down the moonlit waves she takes her flight, ever sailing, ever sailing. I am Leshan born, I.S., daughter of the 7 moons. Lesha lies fair under bright green skies, world of the double sun. I had honor in my short life, and some small measure of fame. I was promised as the high chief's wife. Then the stranger came, riding silver and flame. Love can span the universe. We became as one. Moons sped by in lover's bliss. I bore him a son. Great God give us, smiled on us. Then the high chief a curse pronounced, and though I took my love's part on the altar of Geba, the high chief's knife laid his proud young heart. I remember your words, my love. Hate can come out of love. His friends came just days too late to save his sweet young life. They looked on my son, they looked on my ring, called me the captain's wife. I led the Terrans forth on revenge. Hate can rise like a flood. We've left Lesha, she's far behind, but we left Lesha in blood. I am Leshan born. Ah, yes. But Lesha's left to the dead. And now Terra lies ahead. I have never seen her fields and plains. I've never gazed on earthly blue skies, but I remember the love in his voice, the hope in his mild dark eyes. Look toward Terra, my son, my son. Look toward brighter lands. Don't remember the evil I've done. Don't see the blood on my hands. I was Leshan born.
Sing me a song, said the child in the garden. Grandmother, sing, I'll sit here by your side. Sing me a song of the world they call Terra, the world that you came from when you were a bride.
Child, I have journeyed all over the star fields, out to the rim of the worlds that we know. Child, I can't sing you a song about Terra, for Terra was too many planets ago.
Sing me a song, said the child in the garden. Grandmother, sing to me, tell me no lies. Sing me a song of the world they call Terra. I know you remember by the tears in your eyes.
Child, I have journeyed all over the star fields. Child, I have left all my memories behind. Child, I can't sing you a song about Terra, for I have put Terra clear out of my mind.
Grandmother, sing, said the child in the garden. I have learned all about stubborn from you. Sing me a song of the world they call Terra, where the grasses grow green and the oceans are blue.
Child, how you weary me asking of Terra. You are no babe, you should understand why. We who left Terra forever and ever were those who could tell her forever goodbye. Child, I have journeyed all over the star fields, out to the rim of the worlds that we know. Child, I can't sing you a song about Terra,
for Terra was too many planets ago. The star drive was discovered on a planet of Centaurus by a race which built its cities when the earth was flaming gas. They swept out through the star lanes in the dawning of creation, and 1 billion years of empire came to pass. Their successors were a race of mighty insects from Orion. They didn't have the star drive, but they didn't ever die. They smashed a dying empire and they settled down to rule it. And another 1 billion years or so went by. The insects were supplanted when the drive was rediscovered. They couldn't halt rebellion when they couldn't catch their foes. And the Sen became the rulers. They were reptiles from Arcturus, and they worshipped the black swamps from which they rose. But the Sen are few in number, and the universe is mighty, and they felt their domination start to slip between their claws. Others fought for domination, and the universe was chaos, and on earth a creature shaped flint with its paws. Now the first ones are forgotten, and the insects but a memory. The creature called man stands upon the threshold of his fame. But remember, puny earthling, there were others here before you, and still others who will follow in your flame. We found them on an asteroid shard, their rocket smashed, their bodies charred, and we couldn't tell with their faces marred just who they were, or when or why they'd blasted up from Terra's sky. But they came a good long way to die, a long, long way from home. We lifted the bodies, pulped with shock, and carried them out of the broken lock. And we laid them there on the barren rock. We dug no graves, for there was no way, but our captain spoke a final lay. And there they'll lie till judgment day. Home. Young men who ride the rocket trail must have strong hearts that will not quail, for you never know when the tubes will fail, and you'll end up as a spreading stain on an alien planet's bleak terrain. And you'll never see green earth again. A long, long
Now Jones and Bride were spacers both, and lovers when they might. Their ships were the Belle and the Come Again, and they were both in port one night. Now they set out to do the docks that night on a 4-day liberty. And they started out at the first-class bars, and they drank till main day 3. And they tried the beds at Mother Joe's, and the drinks in the Dwarf Star too. They drank and drained the black hole dry, and moved on to a stronger brew. Now they tried the Core and the 0G, and they drank the stuff at Pate's. Truth be known, they were steering odd, and the hour was a-getting late. For a liberty it has its end, and that end had come full well. And Jones and Bright were spacers true, and began to say farewell. When they were by the dock as the port call rang, and they said their last goodbyes, they saw the devil with a boarding pass and a glower in his eye. Be this a Come Again, asked the devil right out, for that's the ship I'm on, and that's the ship I'll take to hell before this trip is done. Said Nellie Bright, now I'm 4 days out, and I'm in no shape tonight. But you don't take my ship to hell without one hell of a fight. So she flung a cable across his way, and she grabbed him by the tail. And the devil he yelled, and he danced with rage, and he let out a hell of a wail. Now Tommy Jones was a right strong man, and a spacer born and true. He said she ain't my ship and she ain't my fight, but he ain't my idea of a crew. So Tom takes a can and he turns it around, and he grins real fine and wide. And Nell she slings, and the devil he flies, and he falls right down inside. And they slam down the lid, and they fix the clamps, and they mark it with great zeal. Nuke waste, it says, and solar dump, and do not break this seal. Well, the bell goes out with Tom aboard, and the Come Again with Nell. And when that can hit the chute next day, the devil went to hell. Once upon a time there was a fair princess, most beautiful and charming. Her father the king was a wicked old thing with manners most alarming. And always on the front door mat a most ferocious dragon sat. It made such an awful shrieking noise, so all you little girls and boys, beware, take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails he'll feed. With greed on little boys, puppy dogs, and big fat snails. And off to his lair each child he'll drag, and each of his 13 tails he'll wag. Beware, take care, and creep up on tiptoes, and hurry up the stairs and say your prayers, and duck your head, your pretty girl ahead, beneath the clothes, the clothes, the clothes. That dragon he lived for years and years, and he never got much thinner. For lunch he'd have a policeman pie, or a senator for dinner. One brave man went round with an axe, and tried to collect his income tax. The dragon smiled with fiendish joy, and growled and murmured, all right boy, beware. Take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails he'll feed. With greed on little boys, puppy dogs, and big fat snails. And off to his lair each child he'll drag, and each of his 13 tails he'll wag. Beware, take care, and creep up on tiptoes, and hurry up the stairs and say your prayers, and duck your head, your pretty girl ahead, beneath the clothes, the clothes, the clothes. The dragon went down to the kitchen one day, where the fair princess was baking. He ate by mistake some rich plum cake, which the fair princess was making. That homemade cake he could not digest. He moaned and he groaned and at last went west. And now his ghost with bloodshot eyes at midnight clanks its chain and cries, "Beware, take care of the green-eyed dragon with the 13 tails he'll feed, with greed on little boys, puppy dogs, and big fat snails. And off to his lair each child he'll drag, and each of his 13 tails he'll wag. Beware, take care, and creep up on tiptoes, and hurry up the stairs and say your prayers, and duck your head, your pretty girl ahead beneath the clothes, the clothes, the clothes."